Hi all, this is Simona Rich. In this video, I'm going to analyze the natal chart of Shahrukh Khan, a Bollywood superstar, also called the King of Bollywood. Many people, even in the West, non-Indian people know him. And this is going to be a Western astrological interpretation rather than the Vedic one. Shahrukh Khan was an influence on my life because when I was living in my hut in Lithuania, I was missing India so much that I would watch his movies, binge watch his movies, and as a result of also listening to his interviews, I got inspired to exercise every single day, which I continue to this very day. So because of this, I'm very grateful to him, and some of my readers said how come I would take him as an influence since he smokes and he does that and this. Yet I think that you can receive benefits from any person. Just don't copy the bad behavior, but focus on what good they do. So let's start from the interpretation of his astrology chart. It's likely to be correct because I do perceive him as a very scorpionic person. I don't know if you can hear, always when I start recording there is some kind of background noise, so I can hear some kind of pounding sound like always. Okay, so I do believe that his birth time is correct, which is 6:25 a.m. because it would make him a double Scorpio, and you can see from his appearance that he is very scorpionic character, and I would think that his birth would be at night, and actually it's kind of before the sunrise, but I would think it's somewhere nighttime yet, because Scorpio is a dark kind of, it gives people mystery and darkness, so you can confuse this ascendant with a person who was born at around midnight. So we can see that he's a double Scorpio because his ascendant and the sun are in Scorpio. Would there be also the moon in Scorpio? That would make him a triple Scorpio, but double is enough. And we can see also that two more planets are in the same sign. So we can see that his sun is in the first house conjuncting ascendant, which means that he is his personality is very powerful. Double Scorpio already gives powerful personality, but the sun conjunct ascendant would give him much more power, but this also influences egotism. So people who have the sun in the first house, they will be noticed, and they are noticed for their talents. They stand out, they have personalities that attract, yet they may become too proud about their abilities, about them being able to achieve recognition easy, and this is the danger of having the sun in the first house, especially when it conjuncts ascendant. Now we can see a bad placement. Of course, this is a placement that many people have, Neptune in the sign of Scorpio, yet this placement is emphasized because it's angular in his chart, and it also describes his behavior, his character. And this placement, Neptune in the sign of Scorpio, can make him lost in sexual fantasies, having fetishes, undesirable traits, and there could be some sort of confusion or illegal things to do with taxes, paying taxes, or the wills of other people. So this is not a positive influence to have. Then we can see that his Mercury is also in the sign of Scorpio, 29 degrees. So this this planet conjuncts the Taliman star, which is a positive one. It's a powerful conjunction. I think it's less than 1 degree in his chart. Let's check. I think this particular chart doesn't have it. In his medieval chart, I saw that conjunction. Anyway, it's a tight conjunction of the Mercury and Taliman star, and Taliman star can make people famous, and this conjunction is happening in his first house. So, and being on the 29th degree, it means that Mercury operates in a way that is very insightful. So the person will have much insight, very observative person, but we can see that it's an aspect that you know, these are not main aspects that you see. So this makes it weaker, yet modern astrologers consider this a strong influence. Yet older astrologers considered this unaspected planets to be weakened because they are not connecting with the rest of the chart, yet they will operate in a more pure way. So then it's easy to interpret this planet being placed in in Scorpio. It means that Shahrukh Khan is extremely observative, yet he is also deeply competitive, and he's also deeply revengeful. He will not forget any evil done to him, yet he will also not forget favors done to him. It's a placement that makes him very intense. And also, I forgot to mention, this placement, Neptune being in Scorpio, makes him have hypnotic powers. So if, for example, he's interested in any person, if he makes eye contact and that person is weaker, which usually is the case considering his chart, then he may be hypnotized by him just through his eyes. And also now it triggered me to remember that his planets are actually weak. We can see here essential dignities chart, and we can see that all of them are weak, but the Sun, Neptune and Mercury would be stronger because it's in an angular house, and also Moon and Saturn. Saturn is actually not very strong, but Moon more strong because of its location in an angular house. So we can see that only Jupiter has more strength in his chart, yet Scorpio and this Taliman star conjunction can give power, and also because the Sun is conjuncting the ascendant. Now moving to the second house, we can see that its ruler is Mars because it's placed there, and the two of them, and another ruler is Venus. And this totally makes you know that Shahrukh Khan is a huge spender. He's a big spender. Everything, all the wealth that comes to him, and wealth does come to him for sure, he spends, and he is very motivated to make money as a result of Mars placement here, and he has extremely creative, unusual ideas about how to make money, which just suddenly come to him because of the opposition to this conjunction. Yet this particular conjunction also makes him prone to accidents, because we can see that Uranus already causes accidents when in negative connection with Mars. And we can see that it's in a tight conjunction with Pluto, which is a god of underworld and often features in people's deaths. So, and also considering knowing the fact that traditional ruler of Scorpio is Mars, and this becomes very dangerous for him, because if any planet negative planet triggers this cluster, or Mars, he can get injured or even die, yet he is likely to have a long life because of the placement of Jupiter in the 8th house, as well as Saturn's positive connection with the Sun. Yet there will be many threats to his well-being as a result of this negative conjunction. And we can see also that Mars conjuncts Venus. This makes him passionate and active when it comes to his the pursuit of love. So when he finds someone attractive, he will just go for it to get it. Yet the attraction doesn't usually last. It's a passionate one, an intense one, yet as a result of this negative conjunction, it can start quickly and then finish as abruptly, and that other person will be left shocked because there was so much intensity, yet he is now gone. Yet also, though love affairs, if he must have love affairs, unfortunately, they even if they finish, Shahrukh Khan would consider that those people his possessions, because he has Venus in the 2nd house, which means that he clings to people and things that he likes. It's very hard for him to let go of the things he considers his own. Now let's move on to the 3rd house of the mind, and we can see that it's ruled by Saturn, which is which operates in Pisces with difficulty. So this would make him more emotional in his self-expression, and he could be dreamy and unusual thinker, having very interesting ideas because of this conjunction, yet also come across as serious, but also as artistic. And he doesn't say as much as he could, because Saturn is placed in the in Pisces, which rules secrets. So he may appear secretive in the way that he expresses himself, and he may have many secrets. Now moving to the 4th house, we can see Lilith on the cusp of it already. This makes us know that there was some trouble when he was growing up, and indeed it was the case because both of his parents suddenly died. First, I think, was the father, and second was the mother. So let's see if astrologically we could see that this is going to happen. Moon is placed in Aquarius. Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. We can see that Uranus is configurated with Pluto, the god of the underworld, the planet that shows death. So already Uranus, to have Uranus in the 4th house, for example, it will show some kind of huge change in the family or at the end of life. So here we can see that the 4th house has connection with Uranus, and Uranus is in conjunction with Pluto, so it could be indicative of sudden endings. And also the same conjunction indicates injuries at work. I forgot to mention, because it's connected with Mars, his energy, and it's in the house of friends, in the sign of work. So injuries at work, injuries also in public places, injuries with friends, injuries when exploring the world, doing something adventurous with friends. So it's highly not recommended for him to do anything extraordinary outdoor activity that is dangerous. So going back to the family house, so we can see that it is possible actually to predict that something, some sudden ending may happen to his mom. And then also, even if we take the traditional ruler of Aquarius, which is Saturn, it's placed in a sign that's not good for it, and it's also connected to the same cluster, the same conjunction. So both ways we can see that there could have been a sudden ending of his mother, and that was the case. And also, since his birth is before the sunrise, it means that the father is represented by Saturn, and it's good to look at the sun also, but it's represented by the father is represented by Saturn. And yet again we can see that Saturn is in the sign of self-undoing, of endings, ruling the 12th house, the last house of the natal chart. And it's again in the same negative aspect to this cluster, evil cluster. So sudden ending of the father. And also it could be that the father had many problems. In general, his family was unusual. They were traditional in their faith, yet there was something untraditional about their family also. And the mother was, it's likely that the mother was more modern in than usual, and the father in her outlook, and the father may have been into addictions. It could be that he was into alcohol abuse, for example, and it could be that he suffered from some kind of violence outbreaks. That's also a possibility here. And also this house shows the ending of life, so we can see that it could be that he will have a very bad the end of life could be sad, because firstly we can see that there is an afflicted moon, and the moon is even afflicted by Neptune, which already gives delusions of the mind, sometimes confusing fantasy with reality. And it also means that the mother could have been, there could have been something mentally wrong with her, or even some kind of addictions. So this the moon being placed in the 4th house means that at the end of life there could be mental problems. So he needs to be very careful about that, and he needs to get in control of his emotions and subconscious fears, things as such. Otherwise, when the mind gets weaker, they may take over and the mind will become imbalanced. And also this Saturn being in Pisces also is an indicator of a possibility of mental problems. So these make it very possible, both of them being placed in the same house, make it very possible that at the end of life he may have some mental problems. And also it could mean that the end of life could be lonely, or he may even impose loneliness on himself by choice, or it could be that life will deal with him in such a way that he will have to be lonely at the end. So the end of life could be actually very sad, unless he doesn't anger his Saturn in any ways by living a life that is totally moral, not doing any evil to other people, because later Saturn will punish him for everything at the end of his life. So this is a very dangerous planet to have in the 4th house. And also it could show that he will need to look after someone in his old age. So it could mean that he will be alone, or that he will have some kind of burden at the end of life, some kind of responsibility. And usually that could mean taking care of some old person. Yet I think in this case it points more towards choosing to stay alone, choosing a life that's much less social than he used to be, like staying at home all the time. Now moving to the fifth house, it's ruled by Pisces, and Saturn influence may be also felt in that house, so he may not be able to fully enjoy himself in his free time, or his enjoyments may be something that causes his own self-undoing. It also could mean that his enjoyments are solitary. He likes to be alone and he really enjoys his time alone. And also because of the ruler of this house being Neptune, placed in the sign of Scorpio, again this shows that the way that he enjoys himself may be being involved in some kind of undesirable activity, especially of a sexual kind, or some kind of illegal activity that is dark. So that may be the way that he spends his free time. And also it could be spent by just brainstorming how to make money, as well as spending, and expenditure really makes him happy. So when he spends money, he feels actually emotionally fulfilled. So maybe if he is feeling down, he would spend a lot of money and then he will feel good about it. Seventh house cusp Taurus means that the wealth of his other half is very important for him, and he may choose a partner that has money. So he may be one of those people who marry for money, and this is even more so confirmed because the ruler of Taurus is found in the second house of personal resources and wealth. So it's likely that his wife was rich. And that was one of the reasons why he married her. And also we can see that Jupiter is found in the 8th house, which even more confirms that the resources of his wife are great, that she's wealthy. And this particular placement also indicates that he has protection. If he gets involved in spiritual things, he will be protected. And this placement also makes his mind dwell a lot on sex. And this is the same to do with Mercury being in Scorpio, or just Scorpio being prominent in general. And this will be the case with undeveloped characters. It could be transcended, and then the mind will dwell on deep topics like spiritual topics, like life after death, mystical subjects. Yet if the person doesn't care about spirituality, then well, the mind will dwell on sex. And actually this is in the indicator Saturn in Pisces of the lack of belief in God. Yet he also has Jupiter in the 8th house, so that gives faith, and Jupiter is stronger in this case. Therefore, though some of his beliefs may be highly traditional, yet he does have belief in God. Yet he may not be willing to talk about what he really thinks about his religion, what he really practices. It might be done in secret. And also because of Jupiter's placement in Cancer, we can see that he inherited that faith from his parents. Now moving to the 9th house, we find that Cancer is on the cusp of the 9th, and Cancer is ruled by Moon. So this means that if he would move to live abroad, he may find himself more comfortable there than in his own home, actually, where he was born. But he would bring his religion, his beliefs, conditioning that he got from the family together with him. This also could mean that the mother was foreigner, for example, or it could mean that the entire family were from a foreign country, or it could also mean that suddenly they would have to change place of living, especially when it comes to going to live to another continent. This also indicates that activities such as publishing, traveling, and personal philosophies may have been influenced by his mother. So he may, for example, have philosophies that his mother taught him, or he may travel to countries dear to his mother, or he may write about his mother and things as such. We can see that the midheaven is in Leo, which is perfect for actors because they are seen by the public and they are known for their creative expression. So this is a perfect midheaven for him to have. And it also indicates that he has many talents. Moving to the 11th house, we find this negative conjunction. So this shows that, again, as I said, accidents at work, very unusual and unexpected things that are dangerous that he experiences at work. And this also indicates that his friends, though he's picky about his friends, Virgo on the cusp of the 11th, they're going to be very unusual and intense characters, but the friendships are not likely to last. They will leave big impression on Shahrukh Khan, but then they somehow quickly leave his life. And he has many female friends because the ruler of the co-ruler of the 11th house is ruled by Venus, and he will feel possessive about his female friends. And we can see that the house of self-undoing is ruled by Venus, so his passions, his desires, his sexual nature may cause his self-undoing. Women may cause his self-undoing. Excessive spending may cause his self-undoing, and we can see that there is an negative aspect between Venus and Jupiter, which shows that his financial sense is not developed. So he will not think much about to save for the old age, for example, and this particular negative aspect, the opposition, can make him a shallow person, though he has much depth because of this displacement, yet he can also be he may appear shallow. And also his religion he may believe, but he may not go deep into his religion. He may just believe what he was taught by his parents, for example. That's one of the possibilities. So I think I discussed pretty much everything I wanted to. I guess I should also tell that Shahrukh Khan actually is an old soul. That's because of the vast majority of planets being in the last 6 signs. All the first signs are empty with the exception of Jupiter and the 2 outer impersonal planets. So this means he's an old soul, but he did not learn quite a few of the lessons, so he keeps reincarnating and repeating the same mistakes. Let's see what kind of mistakes are easy to transcend and which are difficult. Being reckless, he may easily get in control of this. It's more difficult with fetishes, undesirable habits, and unusual sexual fantasies and sexual nature in general. He had this many lifetimes. And also when it comes to too much spending, also he may actually easily overcome this problem if he just applies himself. Being mentally deluded sometimes and mentally unstable, I would say, not the female and male sides are not integrated within his personality because of the square between sun and moon. These are going to be much more difficult to to transcend. There is a discordance within, and the emotional nature is sometimes is out of control. There is lack of harmony within. So again, this is he carried this into many lifetimes. He was unable to learn this lesson, so this is going to be difficult. And materialistic perception of God and being his own worst enemy also can be transcended. This quality is already was worked on in past lifetimes. So if he just applies himself, he can definitely get rid of those particular qualities signified by Saturn being placed in the sign of Pisces. So I think that's all that I would like to share. I think I covered all the important points of this chart. I hope that it was interesting for you to hear. Thank you for watching. Take care.